Hey folks, welcome to Shooting Up North. I'm your host Lewis Carlin. We're heard right here on the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're watching for the first time, please consider hitting that subscribe button. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter at Shooting Up North, Instagram at Alliance PW Network, and feel free to join our Facebook group, the Alliance Pro Wrestling Network. This is a Shooting Up North news update. Shooting Up North podcast news update to be exact. So let's get into it. Deonna Purrazzo is happy that Mia Yim joined Impact Wrestling, but she believes she is still the face of Impact. This is from Fightful.com. Deonna Purrazzo was speaking to sports guys, talking wrestling, and she commented on Yim's return to the promotion. This is a quote from Deonna Purrazzo. It says, "We've definitely been in the ring quite a few times before. I feel like this happens when you get released by the WWE and you're thrown out there to see what you're going to do next. I've talked about Impact becoming a landing zone for so many people post WWE and them thriving. I think Mia is going to fall into that category. Her debut was so great and receptive. I agree with that. Her debut was fantastic. Great way to bring her back, and the crowd just was very, very receptive to it. Everyone was so thrilled to see where she would land. On a personal note, I'm very happy it was Impact Wrestling. I know what she's been through, and I know what she's feeling, what was feeling in those WWE those last couple of months. I know what it's like to go out there and have someone believe in you and be like, "Hey, just be your true, authentic self, and let's run with it." The Mia Yim we saw debut at Under Siege was the true and authentic Mia Yim. I'm excited to see what she's going to do next. However, they always seem to come for their virtuosa. When they debut, she confronted Deonna Purrazzo at Under Siege, of course. Championship or not, I am the face of Impact Wrestling, and everyone wants a piece of me. I'll handle my business when it comes. That's a quote from Deonna Purrazzo. And I have to say, she's not the face. I would say she's one of the faces of Impact Wrestling. You have Moose out there as well, who you could argue, you could say that he's the face of Impact Wrestling. You could say Josh Alexander is working his way up to become the face of Impact Wrestling. I know Josh Alexander wants to be the face as Eddie Edwards out there as well. But hey, I'm sure she believes she's the face of Impact Wrestling, and you have to when they go on their media tours, Deonna Purrazzo is always on the media tour. She's always sent out with normally with Moose. So I would say Moose and Deonna Purrazzo both the face of Impact Wrestling. But yeah, so she's excited. Mia Yim is back. I just wish it was more than 6 months. I wish somebody had asked her if um, if she was excited that it's only 6 months. Hopefully they could work out something longer. But nonetheless, I'm sure we're going to get a Mia Yim versus Deonna Purrazzo match down the road in Impact Wrestling. So once again, Mia Yim very happy. I'm sorry, Deonna Purrazzo very happy that Mia Yim has joined Impact Wrestling for the next 6 months and hopefully longer than that. Okay, here's an update on Juice Robinson. I know about a week or two ago, Juice Robinson was saying that I think his deal was up or his deal was coming up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He said he's not going to go back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's going to take some time off. He doesn't want to. Didn't want to wrestle as much anymore. He didn't want a busy schedule. He had mentioned that possibly Impact Wrestling could be a destination, but that was all a work. That was all a work. He fooled us. He fooled us. So here's an update. Juice Robinson. Again, this is Fightful.com. It says Juice Robinson said that he lied to a bunch of gullible idiots in April when he said he was finished with New Japan Pro Wrestling. The heel Juice Robinson, he turned heel. He turned heel. So this is the heel Juice Robinson. At the end of the month, and didn't have the urge to wrestle anymore. So he said he lied to a bunch of gullible idiots. I believed him. So I'm one of those gullible idiots. I have to admit, I'm one of those gullible idiots that he's talking about. Juice Robinson immediately returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling at Wrestling Dantaku on May 1st, attacking Hiroshi Tanahashi and joining Bullet Club. Speaking to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, Robinson confirmed that he did sign a new contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the deal runs into 2023. And this is from Juice Robinson speaking with Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated. If I was going to stay with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I needed to do it my way. That's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to hear. I now have the license to do this the way I want. I'm keeping the details private, but I'm here where I'm supposed to be. I don't want to work somewhere else. I was about to. I think he was. I think he was ready to go to Impact Wrestling. To be honest, said he was about to. I was ready to, but I didn't want to. I think he was thinking about signing with Impact Wrestling, but nonetheless, he says New Japan Pro Wrestling is where he wants to be. So he signs a new deal. Juice Robinson signs a new deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and the deal runs into 2023. It's probably a 1-year deal. I kind of wish like Mia Yim signed a 1-year deal, at least a 1-year deal. At least New Japan Pro Wrestling is locking people up for more than 6 months, right? Not a knock on Impact Wrestling, but I'm thinking they wanted Mia Yim. They should have signed her for more than 6 months. That's how I'm feeling. The way I see it, and I know a lot of people are commenting on it. Just give me a second. I got to take a sip of this. It's just tea. It's just tea. A lot of people saying that she signed a 6-month contract because she wants to build herself up, so she can get a good payday from Tony Khan, and that might be the case. That might be the case. I know she says she's home in Impact Wrestling. She's home. She put out that video. Well, if you're home, sign a longer contract. Don't just stay home for 6 months and take off again. If you say you're home, sign a longer contract, Mia. That's just how I feel. I just, because I'm seeing Juice Robinson signing through into 2023, most likely a 1-year deal. But Impact Wrestling signed a Jonah for 6 months, and now Mia Yim for 6 months. And that can't become the norm for Impact Wrestling. They need to lock people up for a little longer. But nonetheless, Juice Robinson re-signing with New Japan Pro Wrestling. He turned heel, he joined Bullet Club, so I would imagine that we're going to see him back eventually in Impact Wrestling. I know that Bullet Club is going strong in Impact Wrestling, so I would imagine Juice Robinson will be back in Impact Wrestling eventually. He's involved actually in a big, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to be doing a Capital Collision preview and prediction show on Friday, probably Friday evening. So Juice Robinson is actually scheduled to challenge for the IWGP United States Championship in a fatal 4-way against the champion Hiroshi Tanahashi, Will Ospreay, and Jon Moxley, which should be just a terrific, terrific match. But Juice Robinson saying that he's back where he belongs in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, so Impact Wrestling. There's going to be give me 1 second. Okay, so Ace Austin is going to defend the X Division Championship at Slammiversary in an Ultimate X match. Qualifying matches will be held in the coming weeks on Impact Wrestling. So this is from Impact in the span of 2 weeks. Actually, also Josh Alexander will be defending the Impact Wrestling World Championship against the winner of Gauntlet for the Gold, which match takes place tomorrow. I'm not going to put any spoilers here, but I did put up a spoiler podcast. I do know who he's facing. I think a lot of you know as well, but just in case you don't, I'm not going to spoil it here. Gauntlet for the Gold match is tomorrow, and the winner of that match will be facing Josh Alexander for the Impact Wrestling World Championship at Slammiversary. I should say we'll be losing to Josh Alexander because he's not dropping the title. And plus, as I said, Ace Austin will defend the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship in an Ultimate X match at Slammiversary, with qualifying matches coming in the weeks ahead. So I think the first match actually tomorrow. Let's do a little preview for tomorrow. Then we're going to wrap it up. So we'll do a little preview for Impact Wrestling tomorrow on Access TV. Impact Wrestling has announced a Gauntlet for the Gold match, as I just mentioned, plus a lot more for this week's episode of Impact on Access TV. So here is The rundown for tomorrow, as I mentioned, Gauntlet for the Gold. Winner gets a shot at Josh Alexander at Slamversary. Sorry, winner loses to Josh Alexander at Slamversary. Knockouts Tag Team Championship on tomorrow. Impact on Access. The Influence defend the Knockouts Tag Team Championship against Giselle Shaw and Alicia Edwards. Jay White and El Phantasmo versus Tomohiro Ishii and Josh Alexander. It was originally supposed to be Jay White and Chris Bay versus Tomohiro Ishii and Josh Alexander, but that's been changed because the first Ultimate X qualifying match takes place tomorrow, as well as Chris Bay goes one-on-one with Kenny King. So Chris Bay in the Ultimate X qualifying match tomorrow, and Jay White, El Phantasmo versus Tomohiro Ishii and Josh Alexander. So sounds like a terrific show tomorrow. And before before the Impact, got this big bug crawling on the wall on the floor over here. I don't know if you know what these house centipedes are, but they're like this big. I just hope he stays away from me. And he's freaking me out right now. He's running on the floor. I'm not going to turn the camera, but he's running back and forth on the floor over here. But I got my eye on him. But anyway, before the Impact tomorrow. And sorry to bring that up, but before the Impact tomorrow is going to be an absolutely fantastic pure before the Impact match tomorrow. As X Division champion Ace Austin goes one-on-one with Aiden Prince, and that should be just a fantastic match. I can't wait for that one tomorrow. So Ace Austin one-on-one with Aiden Prince tomorrow before the Impact. It doesn't say if the X Division title is on the line. I don't imagine it will be, but nonetheless, good to see Aiden Prince back in Impact Wrestling, getting some TV time, even if it's before the Impact. But it's good to see Aiden Prince back. Huge fan of Aiden Prince. He deserves the opportunity, and glad to see him back going one-on-one against Ace Austin. So there you have it. So that's it. That's the Shooting Up North podcast news update for now. Gonna leave it at that. Anything else breaks, of course, I'll be back. He went down the other way, so he's not even near me right now. He's took off that way. It's that little sound. I'm gonna name it Spencer. It's Spencer, the house centipede, just ran that way towards the. I have a little tree in here, but anyway, so we'll leave it at that for now. Anything else breaks, we're gonna leave it at that. I'll be back, of course, if anything else breaks. And until then, thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. Stay safe, everyone. So long. Bye bye. So long, Spencer.